This morning, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth vowed today would be the most intense day of strikes against Iran. This comes as Tehran launched more attacks into neighboring countries overnight, with officials vowing they will not back down. As the fighting continues, CBS News senior foreign correspondent Holly Williams looks at the deadly toll inside Iran. And we want to warn you, some viewers may find images in this report disturbing.
Over 1,300 Iranian civilians have been killed in this war, according to Iran's regime, though we cannot verify that number. CBS News was allowed to send a cameraman to film funerals for regime loyalists, but not to interview anyone who opposes the government. No matter how much damage we suffer, said this woman, we'll inflict 100 times more damage on them. President Trump says this war has seen some of the most powerful strikes the world has ever witnessed. Iranians have felt their force, and they've been left choking after the country's oil facilities were bombed. Iran's Revolutionary Guards maintain they still have the resources to sustain a 6-month, high-intensity war. Some Iranians celebrated the appointment of a new supreme leader on the weekend, the son of the Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, who was killed by an airstrike. But this video appears to show other Iranians calling for his death. Here in the Middle East, there's confusion about President Trump's endgame. Last week, the president encouraged armed Iranian opposition groups operating in exile here in northern Iraq to launch a military offensive against the Iranian regime. On the weekend, Trump backtracked, saying the US did not want to involve the militia groups and make the war even more complex.
Some of America's closest allies here in the Middle East were opposed to this war and warned that it would further destabilize the region. Those same countries are now being targeted by Iran's deadly missile and drone strikes. Back to you.
Holly Williams, thank you. CBS News national security contributor Sam Vinograd joins me now. So, Sam, can you help us understand what may be going on with the mines in the Strait of Hormuz?
Well, one of the asymmetric advantages the Iranian regime has had for years, one of its key sources of leverage, has been to create problems in the Strait of Hormuz. The Strait of Hormuz is, of course, a waterway through which about 20% of global oil production flows, in addition to a good deal of gas, as well as chemicals used for things like fertilizer. It has become a choke point at various points over the course of history, and now the Iranian regime, according to intelligence received by CBS News, is apparently laying mines in the straits that could ostensibly be triggered if international vessels carrying energy or chemicals transited the Strait of Hormuz. That's of deep concern for the United States. It's of deep concern for countries in the Middle East who depend on this waterway to get all of their supplies into the global market. And it's frankly a much larger concern for international markets overall, as we see the price of oil, for example, skyrocketing since the onset of military operations about 11 days ago, Lindsay.
Israel has also issued a warning about cluster munitions being used by Iran. What are they and what makes them dangerous?
Israel has indicated that Iran has started using a type of aerial asset, basically a type of bomb, that simply explodes into various smaller pieces or clusters once it is already airborne, and has, I believe, about a 10-kilometer or so radius. What that means is that if this device does detonate in the air, various pieces spread as part of a cluster and can wreak havoc over a much more dispersed area. Iran is using a range of weapons, including these cluster munitions, but also relying on cruder and cheaper types of munitions, like drones, for example, that can just cost a few $1,000s to manufacture. They clearly have a very diversified arsenal of weapons to use, even if stockpiles, relatively speaking, historically speaking, are running lower than they were before the onset of the conflict and before the onset of the 12-day war with Israel last year.
Sam Vinograd, thank you.